Their paths first crossed when they were 18, when they worked in the same team. Tristan was immediately interested in the girl, but at first she did not pay attention to it. However, later her attitude towards him changed. During the year, they enjoyed each other's company and went on dates with pleasure. Then, unexpectedly, their paths abruptly diverged. The decision was mutual, but it turned out to be harder for Tristan than for Rose. Seeking solace, Tristan's mother comforted him by stating, "It's for the best, my dear. She's pretty fickle, and she's not ready for a serious relationship yet." Time passed as they completed their studies, defended their diplomas, and got consumed by the complexities of adult life. Rose made the foolish decision to marry a friend, which ultimately led to divorce. Her friend laughed mockingly, saying, "Rose supposedly wrecked her passport. Now she'll be a divorcee at 22, poor thing." Rose brushed off the jokes without malice, replying, "Just leave me be, please." Her friend then invited her to a game that evening, mentioning a large group gathering. Rose agreed, and after work, they headed to the event. To her astonishment, Tristan was also in attendance. He avoided any interactions with her, coolly uttering a simple greeting before distancing himself. Despite being on the same team, they silently endured the game without exchanging a single word and parted ways with a quiet bye. As Rose and Alexa made their way towards the subway, Alexa inquired, "Do you know that person?" They had only become friends a year ago, and Alexa was unaware of Rose's history with Tristan. Rose evaded a direct answer, simply acknowledging, "We used to know each other." 2 days later, Rose received a friend request from Tristan on a social media platform. She felt surprised but accepted his invitation. It didn't take long for Tristan to message her that evening, writing a simple "hi." Rose responded with the same greeting, prompting Tristan to apologize for his distant behavior at the game, explaining that her presence caught him off guard. They engaged in some idle chit-chat, and the conversation halted until the weekend. On Saturday, Tristan proposed the idea of meeting up to reminisce about their youthful days. 10 years had passed, and now they were both in their 30s. Tristan once stated emphatically that he couldn't bear to lose her again, which she wholeheartedly agreed to. They decided not to have a regular wedding. Instead, the couple secretly tied the knot and set off to explore the country. Tristan's mother initially harbored resentment. She was haunted by memories of how her son was going through their recent breakup. However, over the years, she not only accepted Rose, but also began to cherish her. Tristan got a solid position in the company, and Rose shared her passion for literature with students at a local college. With the arrival of spring and its first downpours, Rose, after wrapping up her teaching day, summoned a taxi. She was in no mood to brave the soggy trek home. Shortly, her phone buzzed with a notification from the app. Her ride awaited. She sprinted from the shelter of the college overhang to the car. Inside, the warmth enveloped her, mingled with the subtle scent of a man's cologne. The driver greeted her with a friendly turn of his head. Roughly around Rose's age, he sported a cleanly trimmed beard, and his eyes twinkled with amiability. "Hey there," he initiated, confirming the drop-off point. "Hello," she replied, affirming the destination. For some inexplicable reason, Rose felt a twinge of self-consciousness with this stranger. It slightly flustered her. As typical with rainy days, the city's traffic was a slow-moving beast, and though Rose contemplated drowning out the delay with music, the driver suggested they exchange small talk to lighten the mood of the lengthy drive. She consented. "I'm Hudson, and you?" he inquired. "Rose." What followed was a light, airy exchange of words. Seated behind, Rose caught glimpses of Hudson's profile as he chuckled, sharing snippets of his life and amusing work anecdotes. She found herself chuckling too, surprisingly melancholic at the thought of the journey nearing its end. As they arrived at her residence, Hudson faced her again to bid farewell. "Enjoy your evening. Hope our paths cross again." Rose appreciated the kindness, yet it stirred a conflict within her. She remembered well that she was a married woman and shouldn't feel such thrill from another's attention. Later that evening, a text pinged from an unknown number. It was about her forgotten umbrella in Hudson's car, a pretext for further contact, perhaps. Her cheeks warmed with a mix of delight and guilt. She quickly shielded her phone, despite the innocent nature of the message. Tristan arrived home later than usual, brimming with anger as he cursed the congested streets and fellow drivers. "I refuse to navigate this city any longer. I'd rather leave my car at work and take the subway," he grumbled to his wife. Rose tenderly tousled his hair and embraced him, seeking to provide solace. The following day, Rose had a day off and planned to meet Hudson to retrieve a forgotten umbrella. To her surprise, he arrived not only with the umbrella but also bearing 2 cups of flavored coffee. Flashing a smile, Hudson extended one of the cups and cheerfully remarked, "This is for you." "You really shouldn't have," she replied, though she gladly accepted the offering. They found themselves standing on the street outside a shopping center, on the verge of parting ways when Hudson implored Rose to join him for a while and engage in conversation. Fluttering butterflies persisted in her stomach. Before leaving, Hudson leaned in and planted a kiss on Rose's lips, which she reciprocated. Their relationship spun them into a whirlwind. They maintained constant correspondence and clandestine encounters. Rose's affection for her husband gradually waned, and he, sensing the shift in dynamics, grew increasingly agitated. Tristan intuited that something was amiss, yet remained unable to substantiate his suspicions. One evening, he arrived home exceptionally late. Clients had incessantly delayed him, subjecting his completed work to numerous revisions. Exhausted and burdened, Tristan navigated the treacherous journey homeward. Parking his car at a considerable distance from the house, he commenced walking along the street illuminated by flickering streetlights. Breathing in the balmy April air, his thoughts oscillated between work and his wife, who had been exhibiting peculiar behavior as of late. Tristan resisted acknowledging the palpable truth and long dismissed the notion of her infidelity. However, this evening was the catalyst that shattered his delusions. As he neared the entrance, his gaze fixated upon a nearby car, its interior faintly illuminated. Reflexively, Tristan glanced inside, intending to pass by, until he abruptly realized that his wife Rose was seated in the passenger seat, engrossed in a passionate kiss with an unfamiliar man. The husband advanced toward the vehicle, positioning himself right before the hood, his eyes steadfastly locked onto the pair engaged in their indiscretion. The man was the first to notice. He pulled away from Rose, his eyes filled with confusion, while Rose, understanding the situation, hurriedly got out of the car and rushed towards her husband. "I'll explain everything," she exclaimed. Her lipstick was smudged and her hair was disheveled. There was no need for any explanation. Tristan grabbed her arm firmly. "You're going upstairs now and packing your things. You have 15 minutes. Anything you can't pack, I'll bring to your mother's." Rose looked at her husband with fear in her eyes. 2 emotions battled within her: regret for how things turned out and relief that the burden she had been carrying since her relationship with Hudson was finally starting to lift. No more hiding. Sadly, this story is not a happy one, as Hudson turns out to be a rather wicked man. Once he realized he had complete control over Rose, he started behaving differently, constantly demeaning her. He was consumed by jealousy, and during arguments, he would hurl hurtful words at her. He even went so far as to call her a fallen woman for cheating on her husband. And every time she cried after a fight, she would think of Tristan and how kind he had always been to her. After the first blow from her lover, Rose decided to leave, but the jealous man wouldn't allow it. He followed her everywhere, trying to bring her back home, to lock her up there. Rose went from friend to friend, but Hudson always managed to find her. In despair, she even turned to her ex-husband for help, but he told her that she had chosen this man for herself and choices have consequences. Eventually, Rose made the decision to move to another city to escape the relentless cab driver, and she succeeded. She breathed a sigh of relief. Yet when life had somewhat settled down, she suddenly realized that she was still unhappy. As fate would have it, she lost all the good things she had in yet another man. For some reason, many of us believe that the grass is greener on the other side, and often those who venture to find out end up regretting their choice.